This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
American Graduate Getting to Work is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
On this special Carolina Impact, tough conversations about equity in education. What's working? People have great hopes for universal pre-K.
We have other states that are watching what we're doing.
What's not?
If 70% of white children in this community could not read, perform at a readiness level, that would be a crisis.
From the workforce development initiatives that are blowing the idea of a four-year degree out of the water to comprehensive pre-K, we've gathered top experts in education for this special edition of Carolina Impact. Welcome to PBS Charlotte's Economic Mobility Town Hall, Finding Answers in Education. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. The solution to our education problems is not a one-size-fits-all, and 30 minutes is only enough time to scratch the surface of this complex issue. Tonight, we're going to take a closer look at the changing landscape from preschool to college. We'll show you what's being done to help students before they even get to elementary. Many students and parents need to rethink the idea that a four-year college degree is the only path to success. High-paying jobs sit vacant because we don't have a large enough skilled workforce, meaning you may only need a certification taking a few months after high school to a two-year associate's degree to ensure you have a brighter future. We've learned some hard truths this last year in Charlotte. Success does come to our city, but it doesn't seem to come to all citizens. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system's own report shows a shocking lack of equity in education, giving Charlotte the reputation that success in the classroom often depends on your zip code. Carolina Impact's Jeff Saunier starts there.
Hi, Amy. Hey, let me read you something straight from the CMS website. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools provides all students the best education available anywhere, preparing every child to lead a rich and productive life. That's the CMS vision statement, the way CMS views itself. But the reality is that a lot of CMS kids at a lot of CMS schools are a lot less prepared than others.
I would get more specific here. It says just create a Quizlet on them.
At low-poverty high schools like Ardrey-Kell, CMS's own numbers show that in grades 9 through 12, more than 85% of white kids are considered college and career ready when it comes to English, which is pretty good. But in high-poverty high schools like Garinger, it's a different story. The number of black and Hispanic students considered college and career ready in English, less than 25%.
I was even more appalled when during the conversation that we had with Dr. Wilcox, he stated that a degree or a diploma from Ardrey-Kell and Providence had more weight than a diploma from Garinger. We want to change that reality.
If 70% of white children in this community could not read, perform at a readiness level, that would be a crisis.
Instead, the crisis is kids who graduate with a CMS diploma, but without the basic skills they need to succeed in college, or to get a job, or even apply for a job.
They do not know how to even write a basic application. What I'll need you to do is just fill out all of this.
Monique Dillon is a recruiter here at People Ready, a job placement agency located in Charlotte's poorest zip code, where Dillon does her best placing those CMS graduates.
They need to work, they need to get a job.
But they don't have the skills to even apply.
That's correct.
That's got to be awfully frustrating for them.
It is. It is, because you are guaranteed to have a basic good education.
What is it?
That's not happening for a 17, 18, 19-year-old. And it breaks my heart. It does.
Yeah, but change at CMS comes slowly. I mean, that gap between rich schools and poor schools, between white kids and minority kids, heck, it's been that way literally for decades. Amy?
Thanks so much, Jeff. I want to welcome our experts, our studio audience that includes viewers and students from Independence High School and Central Piedmont Community College. And for the first time, I want to welcome our Facebook Live audience. Thank you so much. Our first panelists are two of the most prominent faces in Charlotte education, Dr. Candy Diedemeyer, president of Central Piedmont Community College, which actually holds the license to PBS Charlotte, and Dr. Clayton Wilcox, superintendent of Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. Dr. Wilcox, let's start with you. It's hard to watch a story like that, but you have been trying to address it. You've been working, we heard from two concerned citizens who are pastors, and you've been working with the African-American clergy to try and improve this. What do you see as some steps that are moving towards improvement?
Well, I think one of the first things is that we're actually talking about real problems in honest ways. We're not sugarcoating what's going on within our community. We're asking for help. We're asking for their assistance. But I do see some bright lights in that. We have spent a great deal of time working on a guaranteed and viable curriculum so that the comment that I made to Reverend Walker doesn't ring as true as it does today, which is that there is a difference in the value of a diploma from some of our schools versus some of our other schools. And by that, I don't mean that graduating from West Meck or West Charlotte is inferior to graduating to Audrey Kell. But what I'm talking about is the actual coursework that kids are exposed to, the opportunity to take advanced placement courses, the opportunity to perhaps pursue an IB degree. Those things aren't equal, and we've got to do a better job of becoming both more equitable and more equal in the delivery of courses like Algebra 1, like advanced biology, like other advanced placement courses.
Another question for you, Dr. Wilcox. We have students here in the audience who came from Independence High School, and they gave us this question. What role can CMS play in helping students' families be more economically stable? And I know you're in the business of education of the students, but there's a lot of outreach towards families as well. What can be done?
Well, I think we are taking some initial steps in our budget request, because one of the things that we know is many of our students' parents actually work for CMS. We're one of the largest employers in the community. And we've taken a first step towards making a livable wage for all of our bus drivers, our food service workers, and others. We are very intentional about increasing pay for our teaching and other professional staff. So we're trying to raise all boats by beginning at home with our own team. But I think we can do some other things, like, you know, when you see that young woman who's trying to help kids apply for positions, I think we can do some of that. I think we need to really kind of make some of our courses more relevant to the world that our kids face every day.
Okay, so that takes me into the fact that we got a studio audience question from Rachel, who asked, what are we doing to make classwork more relevant, even looking at life skills, dealing with debt, budgeting? What are some of the things that you're doing in that area?
Well, I think one of the first things that I would say is that, you know, while we do have an achievement gap, and I won't deny that at all, I think one of the things that we have is an inspiration gap, and that is that many of our kids never see anybody who looks like them in successful roles within our curriculum. That's one of the things that we're talking about when we talk about having a guaranteed and viable curriculum. We want to make sure that our young kids see people who look like them, not just in front of them in the classroom, but in the curriculum they're studying. For example, when you say to a youngster person, we want you to go into the career of coding, but you don't see any other Black or Hispanic leaders in coding, then do you think that it's really accessible to you? So we're trying to do a lot of things about inspiring kids by putting role models in front of them who have actually blazed the path that we're now encouraging kids to go on. That's one way that we can begin this process.
Dr. Diedemeyer, we want to bring you into the conversation now. CPCC is recognized as a national leader in workforce development. How do you see the labor market today, and do you see future jobs needing more four-year degree or two-year degrees?
Well, I'm a big advocate that we need both. I think there are going to be jobs in the future that require a four-year degree. And we need to prepare students at Central Piedmont through the CMS pipeline to be able to be ready to transfer and make that transition appropriately and do well once they get there. You know, our biggest transfer partner is UNC Charlotte, and I think we do well there. Our students do well once they transfer. So I'm a big advocate that we're going to need to do both. But there's no denying that the workforce and the skills that are necessary to go into many of the jobs that are currently available only require a certificate, a diploma, or a two-year degree. To command a much more than living wage. These are very viable careers where individuals can not only make a life-sustaining wage, but a family-sustaining wage, and move up that career mobility ladder very quickly by stackable credentials. So I do see that many jobs are coming available. It's whether, again, to Dr. Wilcox's comment, whether there's an interest gap or that students and families really understand what jobs will be available, what jobs are available, and are they looking to those as they begin to prepare for a career and begin their higher education career.
So
if I may,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it's also important to realize the close partnership that we have with CPC and UNCC right now. And one of the things that we're doing within CMS is when I came to this district 2 years ago, we only had about 400 kids who were graduating on an annual basis with an industry-based credential. Last year we had over 4,000 kids graduate with an industry-based credential. This year we're on pace to actually improve upon that number as well. That way we're giving kids not only industry-based credentials, but the opportunity to step into the workforce without having the workforce shoulder the costs of basic certifications. Then perhaps those same business and industry can invest in their 2-year degree or the 4-year degree on behalf of the young people.
So that's a lot of career and technical education, which we're going to get to in a little bit as well. I'm going to go back to Dr. Dietermeyer for a moment. I've read that more than 40% of CMS students who attend your college take 2 or more remedial classes, meaning they're not quite ready for college course level. How can you work with Dr. Wilcox to help students be better prepared? You were just talking about collaboration.
Yeah, so the Central Piedmont and CMS have 4 middle colleges. I think that's helped. Actually, that 40% is an improved rating, if my memory is serving me correctly. The college and the system, the North Carolina Community College system, did some recalibrating of how we admit students several years ago, and so we're beginning to see some of that pay off. And I think students are better prepared. I think they are coming to us. We're seeing more students enter Gateway-ready courses, but I also think those middle college, high school students coming and staying that 13th year to finish the associate's degree has helped with that as well. So I think the partnership, aligning our curriculums, our teams communicating and working more aligned to what CTE pathways are available as students are coming to Central Piedmont and taking their placement test or getting placed into the right courses at the college has really been a success. And so while we do still have a number of students who need some basic skills preparatory work before they hit that first college gateway course, we're seeing improvements there. We're seeing students make it through the pipeline.
So Dr. Dietermeyer, you've also stated publicly that families need to have that important discussion about jobs and the purpose of people. Help us understand that phrase.
Well, this is a personal passion of mine and also a professional passion, and that is after 28, almost 30 years in higher education. I started as an advisor many years ago. You can do the math. And I'm proud of that because I got to sit across the table years ago and start talking to students about what their career goals were. And I really am a person who digs into that. And so my public comment to that was that in this day and age, because the workforce has changed and is changing while we're having this conversation, that I really want students and parents to have a conversation about, one, what do you think your purpose is? And then where does that align to the workforce? And then what do you need to do to develop your skill set in order to command that professional career? I also believe that the careers of starting one today and probably lasting 30 years are probably gone because that's just the world that we live in. So it's going to be an ever-evolving conversation as well, and I think we need to open our hearts and minds to that. So I think more conversations in the family unit, whatever that may look like in our community. It is different for many people, and having conversations in CMS as they come to Central Piedmont, and us having a conversation of there are a plethora of opportunities that I don't always believe that families talk about or know about, if I may, that we need to do a better job collectively telling them, letting them come and experiencing those things, and then making really intelligent and knowledge-filled decisions, because you don't know what you don't know. And we want them to come and seek that out and put their hands on it, really think about it. So I do think those conversations are really important in the family dynamic or in the community that they're in to make those informed decisions.
So last question before we head to our next segment. It comes from one of our viewers, emailed us this question. It's Celeste Bagley asks us the question for both of you. What is being done to reduce underrepresentation of minorities in healthcare fields like nutritionists, occupational therapists, MRI techs? Very brief answers from you both. Start with Dr. Wilcox, please.
Well, I think we're trying to expose kids earlier on in their career. We've purchased a new software package called Naviance, where kids can explore their passions earlier on, and then guidance counselors can help to move kids towards those. We've opened new health academies. We've opened all kinds of new programs across the system where young people can explore careers and then get certifications in careers in the health industry.
Dr. Dietermeyer.
The same. We have lots of career exploration tools for students to experience as they come to the college. Again, what's your passion? What do you think your purpose is? We have some really good results in terms of equity across those programs and diversity. And we can always do better. And it's really making sure students get aligned to those careers that they want to kind of experience.
We've got more questions for you in just a moment. We're going to switch gears right now. Mecklenburg County is proving they're serious about providing every child the same opportunity with its new universal pre-K program. But in order to serve all the families in need, the county will have to increase the budget. Carolina Impact's Jason Terza shows us how it's putting children from financially challenged families on equal ground with their peers.
Thank you, you should have told her to go in your room.
Just like most big kids, 4-year-old Jayza Jones enjoys her free time talking on the phone.
So that means you have to tell this little girl to go in her room to do some chores, okay?
Jayza is one of 36 pre-K children at the Marietta Carey Child Development Center, located at the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in Charlotte. The center has been around for decades, but it's now partnered with the inaugural Meck County pre-K program.
I looked in a private school for her. Pre-K programs, they range anywhere from $900 a month to $1,700 a month. And I was like, really, that's a mortgage.
Until this school year, Jayza's mom had been sending her to an in-home daycare. But thanks to the $9 million allocated by Mecklenburg County to launch the program, Jayza and so many other kids in low to moderate income families can now attend a quality pre-K program for free.
This is the first step towards universal pre-K.
The county teamed up with Smart Start to run the program, which this school year is serving 600 children in 33 classrooms across 20 locations. It's all being done to help combat the upward mobility issue facing Charlotte.
If you are poor in Mecklenburg County, rising out of poverty essentially doesn't happen.
Studies have shown a direct correlation between education and rising out of poverty.
Some children don't even get read to before they get to kindergarten. A lot of kids are not introduced to even a letter or even how to write their name. So this program, we're already at the point where we're doing letter sounds and they're doing sight words.
Miss Trusty, are you answering the phone?
Tell them I'll call them right back. I'm helping Emmanuel with his letters.
The benefits for the kids and their families are seen on multiple levels, financially, socially, and academically.
I always say, how was your day? What did you learn? Sometimes it's, oh, it was good, nothing. She always says that she learned nothing, but it comes out later, like maybe the weekend. Oh, this is a community. This community, and she'll expand on that. I'm like, yeah, you're learning a lot.
Pending budget approval is all that stands between major expansion of the program. It could grow from a $9 million initial investment to $70 million a year by the year 2023 and provide free pre-K education for all who want it.
So we'll be able to open up and serve more families in different pockets of the county from there.
I'm really appreciative, and I'm sure so many people are appreciative of it.
Regardless of where the program goes from here, one thing is for certain. This group of 4-year-olds will be much better prepared for kindergarten when fall rolls around.
Okay, I see you tomorrow, okay?
For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terzis reporting.
Those faces are beautiful. Thank you so much, Jason. Well, we want to introduce Nancy Hughes, Executive Director of Smart Start of Mecklenburg County, which is administering the MEC Pre-K program. Nancy, thanks so much for your time. Let's talk a little bit about how difficult is it to take a student who was not introduced to pre-K and put them in the school district and get them on level playing field?
If a child does not attend pre-K, we hear from kindergarten teachers that it makes such a difference that they can tell children who have had a high-quality pre-K experience when they get to kindergarten. They have better social emotional development, they have better executive function, they are just really understand the classroom dynamics and how to participate in that type of a setting.
Talk to us a little bit about the fact we saw in that story. How soon before this really is available to all 4-year-olds?
The county's plan is that it will be universal voluntary pre-K in year 6. We're in year 1 now. This particular school year, we're gearing up for year 2, and so the plan that the county adopted calls for universal voluntary pre-K by year 6.
So as we ramp this up, how difficult is it just to find qualified teachers? Is that a challenge as part of this?
It is a challenge, and we're working with CPCC and we're working with UNCC to really try to build that pipeline. We see the need is going to be greater and greater every year as the program expands, And so everybody's looking for qualified teachers, CMS, pre-K, and so we're really working with CPCC and UNCC to build that pipeline.
How do we help get the word out that this will be available free of charge for folks? How do you get people to sign up?
Spreading the word. This is a new program, and so that has been one of the challenges in that just getting the word out to the families who really qualify and who really could benefit from this program. So we do it in mass ways, and we do it by one person telling the next person. Our data shows that word of mouth is the greatest way that we're spreading the word. We ask families when they come in to register, and word of mouth is number one.
Great. We're going to open this back up to all of our panelists again. And I want to start with Dr. Dietermeyer. I also read research that showed that 40% of CPCC students are first-generation college students. What differences are needed to help them succeed compared to counterparts who had parents graduate college?
So I always think it's about navigation. You know, we're a system. And if you've never had anyone in your life, right, that family conversation, who understands how to navigate, who's never come to a college and understands how to go to the admissions office or fill out an application, how to find out about financial aid, look into scholarship dollars, or even just begin to think about a career path or how to get registered. You know, you have to learn how to navigate the system. That's the first thing. And so sometimes if you're first generation and you've not had anybody who understands how to do that, it can be quite put-offing a little bit. I once shared years ago with a board member, not at Central Piedmont, that we used to have students who would drive to campus on multiple occasions and want to enroll. And a student shared with me years ago, I've driven to your campus several times, again, not at Central Piedmont, and I just could not get out of the car because I just didn't know how to do it. And years ago, the board member said, that just can't happen in 2000 and whatever the year was. And I said, yes, sir, it can. And so we're a big system, especially at Central Piedmont. And so it's about how to learn to navigate. Getting the word out is we have an amazing staff at Central Piedmont, great partnerships over at CMS who want students to come to us and feed us those great students. That we have to help those students, those first gens, learn not only how to navigate the very first time through our door, but how to stay enrolled and retain them and continue to enroll every semester, and then learn how to navigate all the amazing resources we have that can wrap around them. Because it's not just about getting in the door and getting them to the college, it's about keeping them. And that's a whole nother conversation that we won't be able to get to today. But those first generation students just have to really understand how to navigate and afford themselves the opportunities that a college can really help in order for them to be retained and actually finish the credential.
Dr. Wilcox, this is for you, and it was emailed to us by a viewer, John Lee, who asks, soft skills such as reliability, cooperation, initiative are so important to employers these days. How can the school teach these personal skills to students? It's a part of success.
Well, I think we can model them in our classrooms. I think our teaching staff, our support staff, our administrative team have to model the skills that they want to see in young people. That means that they have to be there every day, because if you want to model attendance and the value of attendance, you've got to be there. It means that when you talk to people, you need to talk to them in a respectful tone. It means that when you're charged with doing your task each day, you're not doing it with a cell phone to your ear. That little girl in the video gave me just cringed my heart, because there was somebody saying, it's okay to be talking on the phone, even though it wasn't a real phone. Well, the lesson's going on. That's not right. And so I think we can do those things. We have to model the things that we want to see. I'm reminded a long time ago when I talked to a woman in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I was a superintendent, when you point a finger at somebody, there are three pointing back at you. And so I think we have to look internally first and foremost.
You talked about career technical education a little bit earlier. I want to get back to that. You know, it's known as CTE, and you offer certifications in architecture, drawing, certified nursing assistants, Microsoft. You're doing more. You're proud of that. Does it need to start earlier?
I think it does need to start earlier. That's why we purchased the Naviance package, because we want young kids to begin exploring career interests by taking surveys and the tools that are embedded in that package very early on, so they start to figure out what they're interested in, what kind of lights their fire, and then they can begin to explore those classes. And what you also see at some of our middle schools now are career exploration courses, so kids are beginning to see what it really means to be a computer programmer, what it really means to be an architecture. What does it really mean if you want to say that you want to be in veterinary sciences or health sciences?
Nancy, I want to get you back in the conversation. The first class of preschoolers in MEC Pre-K will graduate from high school in the year 2032. Whew, sounds a long way away. Tell us how you think the commitment to preschool now will impact us then.
In several ways, in several significant ways. I think those children will have had less retention in grades in their school. Research bears that out. They will have a future where they're ready to either explore community college or vocational schools or four-year colleges. They'll be better prepared for that. They will have less run-in with the law. Research also demonstrates that is a fact. And it also shows that on average, they'll make about $2,000 a month more than those who were not in a high-quality pre-K program.
You know, as a final question before we run out of time, I would love to hear from all three of you. Recently, the president of the Foundation for the Carolinas recently said it could take a generation for us to turn the tide in economic mobility. I'd like to hear each of your thoughts on how long you think this will take, and we'll start with you, Nancy.
It will take, it won't be overnight for sure, but we have to start and we have to continue to make sure that children have access to high quality pre-kindergarten programs. It will make a difference, and we will start seeing it with the class that's in our schools this year within a generation or before a generation as they as they graduate from high school.
Dr. Wilcox, your thoughts on how fast can we improve economic mobility in our area?
I think we can begin to see changes in a really short time. You know, whether it's 2 to 3 years, I'm not sure, but I think we can. I think, you know, to those of us who are in this business who don't feel that sense of urgency, shame on us. So, you know, I think that we can turn this corner quicker than that, but I do think that there are going to be some long-running vestiges. You know, we have to confront some of the institutional racism that is prevalent in this community. We have to confront some of the issues of economic impoverishment. We have to confront those things. Those things will not happen overnight. I mean, you know, this is not a problem that's unique to CPC or CMS. It's not a problem that's unique to pre-K. You know, as we have this conversation around pre-K, I think it's important to point out that we have over 4,000 pre-K students in CMS today. So, you know, we are working on this. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have to have a degree of urgency, or it will take a generation.
Okay, we've got about 30 seconds, Dr. Dietermeyer, for you to have the last word, please.
Well, I think one of the things I'm most proud of is that we have the continuum of education sitting here. I wish UNC Charlotte was also represented. And so I do think it will take a different amount of time given the tracks of education that we're talking about. It may take a little longer on the pre-K side. It may be a little less longer at CMS. College and career ready, we may be able to move the needle more quickly. But I think the conversations are certainly happening, and all the groups that we interact with, there is a sense of urgency. And if, to Clayton's point, if it isn't happening, it should be happening. And but I am proud that we're sitting here as the continuum, and we're all, I think, all in.
Thank you so much. We couldn't get to all of the questions from our wonderful viewers in the audience today, but we are so very grateful for your time. We want to thank you for joining us as well for this important topic. Finding answers in education will truly determine whether our community continues to thrive. Remember, parents, if you have a Mecklenburg County 4-year-old, you need to apply for the pre-K program. PBS Charlotte is also working hard to help people learn about high-demand careers that pay a living wage without a 4-year degree. You can watch videos about 16 different careers at pbscharlotte.org under our Education tab at American Graduate Getting to Work. It's encouraging to see the effort being put into bridging the disparity in delivery and access, but we know there is more work to be done and are committed to shining a spotlight on the issue until it's resolved. Thank you so much for joining us, and good night, my friends.
American Graduate Getting to Work is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
A production of PBS Charlotte.